Hi, in this video, I'll show you the best debugging skills to have for a better software development experience. Let's dive in. Let's have a refresh of what debugging is. Debugging is the process of identifying the cause of an error and fixing it. And then sometimes it could just be trying to figure out why an expected output is not being realized, it's not being achieved, or probably you are trying to get a function to perform certain operations to give you an output, and then that output is not coming forth. So the process of trying to figure out what is wrong with the function to get an expected output is also called debugging. Now, this is a paramount skill for every developer, whether you are junior, intermediate, or senior developer. At some point, you come across an error. It could be from a third-party API, it could be from a module, a library, a package that is throwing an error that you need to figure out. So the best thing to do is to arm yourself with the best debugging skills to reduce the time you spend trying to figure out what is wrong and all of these issues by acquiring the following skill I'll be sharing with you. First, make it a question to yourself. When you have an issue, before you start trying to look for where the issue is, and all of that. So just ask yourself the question, what am I trying to do? Okay, where is this error coming from? Is it from the third-party API I'm using? Is it from a package? Is it from a page? At what point is it breaking? So just make it a question to yourself. What could I be getting wrong? Or what have I done that is really not adding up that I need to check up on? So that's just what it is. So you have to make it a question to yourself so that you can be able to know where you would channel your energy to. I've seen most times people like, oh, if I had known, I would have just checked this page. It didn't occur to me that it's going to come from this page. So you have to ask yourself that question. The next skill is that you need to develop the ability to be calm. Be patient. What this means is that when you have an issue, probably a bug or an error being thrown at you from the computer saying, hey, this is not working, there is a curly braces at line 106 that is not expected to be there. So the next thing you have to do is that you have to be patient. Being angry, being tensed, trying to hurry up so that you can go and catch up with other schedules may not really help. It will make it difficult to figure out what you are trying to fix. So the best thing is to be patient. You need to go through the code line by line in order to be able to find out what error or where the error is coming from when the computer actually alerts you that there is an issue with the code, maybe during compilation or maybe during execution or when you are trying to make a request for a particular page. And also what is important is when you are trying to do this, it doesn't mean you're not going to be slow in what you are doing, but then you can be calm and still be doing stuff with speed. The next point here is to pay close attention to error messages or logical implementation. Most times where you hear developers spending hours and days up to weeks on a problem, and at the end of the day, you just realize, oh, the error has just been there, but I didn't pay close attention. So you need to pay attention to this. In fact, this is one of the best skills every developer should have, whether you are debugging or you are developing an application. You need to be very, very attentive to details, because sometimes what you spend days trying to do, you now realize that all you needed to do was just 5 minutes of attention to that issue. So pay attention to the message, pay attention to the logical implementation that is not giving you the expected outputs from your application. After you've seen the error, you've paid attention to the details. The next thing is to review the implementation causing the error. Now, if you have an issue, for example, you are trying to connect your application to a printer to print a particular receipt, and then upon clicking the print function, it's actually printing the receipt, but you are not seeing any display on the receipt. So the next thing to do is to go back to the code. Now you are sure of the error, you pay attention to the details. You've seen that from this output, there is no write-up you are expecting on the paper, on the slip you are getting. So the next thing to do is to go back, review the implementation. Okay, you are connecting the printer at this point, and then at this point the printer is receiving the display, it's going to print on the slip, but then this is not working. So you now review it. Once you review it, you'll be able to figure out where the problem is so that it can guide you on how to solve it. You will actually know if it's an issue from the code you wrote or from the package you are using to connect the printer, or it's a printer-based issue, or probably it is a browser-based issue, or probably a device-based issue. Sometimes it could require you to just unplug the printer and then just plug it back, for example. The next point here you would have been waiting to hear is search the error on the internet. When you have an error that is being thrown at you, or probably there is a package you are trying to use and then you're having an issue. Just copy that error and then paste it on the search engine and then search for it. And then in recent times, we now have ChatGPT. I mean, back then we used to go to Stack Overflow and then you see tons of responses for a particular issue. This person says it is XYZ. This person says, okay, it's because you did not do this, you did not do that. But now, if you are not able to find those answers on Google search engine, just copy the same error and then paste it on ChatGPT. ChatGPT will give you the response of the solution, and then you will be able to figure out what the problem is from there. After searching the error on the internet, probably you are not able to figure out what the issue is. You've asked ChatGPT, you've tried the code from ChatGPT and it's not working. Now, this is the next skill that is quite challenging for most developers, or for some developers, the ability to ask questions. So the next point is ask questions. In this ask questions, I will divide it into two sections. Number one is be willing to ask for help, and number two, be specific on what you are looking for. So for the first point there, be willing to ask for help, is because I've seen some developers spending hours, days, and weeks trying to figure out an issue that they would have just asked maybe a senior developer or a junior developer or an intermediate developer, or in a group chat, a community of developers, and then just ask the question there and say, okay, hey, this is what is going on. So be willing to ask for help, because there's a probability that someone has come across that same issue. It has helped me several times that once I have issue like that, and then we always have deadline, timeline, and all of that, I will just quickly reach out in a group chat or ask someone and say, hey, this is what I'm experiencing. Have you come across this issue before? What did you do about it? Now, the second part is, don't just go to a group chat and say, is there any Java developer here? I need help. I mean, you could just say, hey, I have this issue with a Java program I'm writing. I'm trying to connect a printer and it's failing at this point. So when I try to send print, it throws an error that the cable, the OTG cable, is not recognized, and then the cable is plugged in. I've checked ChatGPT, I've checked Stack Overflow, but I'm not able to figure out the issue. And then just allow people who are in the group, they will actually know what to do. Even if there is no Java developer in that group, there's someone who must have connected a printer, maybe using Go, using JavaScript, or any other programming language to work with printer. They can ask you, okay, what library are you using? Have you tried to use another library? Have you tried to use another printer? Have you tried to test the function from another system or from another device? So that's just. And then sometimes there is a possibility that you've asked questions before and then someone make a mockery of you, or someone didn't give you a response. Maybe you just encountered criticism for asking a question, or somebody just make you feel as if, okay, well, or this person doesn't know what they are up to. So what you could just do is keep asking, right? And then someone is willing to help. I mean, someone is willing to help, so that you don't just spend a lot of hours. Because what I've noticed about this programming thing is that spending hours and days and weeks trying to figure out an issue when there's someone to help you, I don't really think it add up for anything. For the sake of the fellow developers you are working with, or the sake of your clients, I don't really think it adds up to just you want to do it all. Even as a senior developer, you should be able to. There are some times whereby the future you are having issue with someone who is a junior developer, the first project they worked on, that is what they actually dealt with. So it's not a matter of asking question, should not be a matter of, well, and they'll see me as a novice, they'll see me as someone who is just starting out. No, even in fact, I've realized that the higher you accent in programming career, the more you realize that you should ask. It will be very simple to just reach out for help. I'm telling you, I've seen that several times. So you shouldn't be scared that, oh, this question doesn't add up to ask in a group chat. How can I be asking a group chat that I'm trying to submit a form using JavaScript and it's not working? I mean, anybody who's going to laugh at the person does not really know what they are doing. So no matter how foolish the question is to you, you should be able to ask, and then you will get help. The next point here, which is also important, is to take break. Take a break. Sometimes you are seeing an issue, you've paid attention to details, you've reviewed the implementation, you've tried a couple of things, and then it's not working through. I would recommend you should take a break. It has worked several times for me. I'm just trying to figure out something. Maybe, for example, I'm trying to integrate a payment gateway, and I'm just trying to send some parameters to the endpoint, and it's just throwing some error. And I was like, I must fix this thing before I go for lunch. I must fix this thing before I go for soccer. I must fix this thing before I step out of the house. And I have something else I want to do. And then I'm feeling sleepy. I'm feeling dizzy. I just want to make sure that I get that thing out of the way before I continue whatever I'm doing. I will tell you from my experience that it has not worked. But immediately I just take a break and just walk out and then maybe just go get cookies. Just on my way going, I was like, oh, wait. I think I did not add. There's a package I'm supposed to extend. There is a class I'm supposed to extend from the other class that I did not extend. And then upon coming back to the system, I come back with a refreshed mind. So sometimes you have to take break. This would have even be the first point, but then just because this there's no particular order in which these skills follow for you to be able to have a better development experience when you are debugging. That's why it's just I just have to just list them in no particular order. So take break. It could be for you to just go take a nap and then maybe take a rest for the day and then continue the next. I know most times we have deadlines, we have stand-up meetings, we have a couple of things you want to catch up with, but then if you don't take break, you end up spending unnecessary hours on the system. The next skill here is to use debugging tools or code analyzer. When I mentioned patience, I said you have to take your time to go through line of codes. Like, what if you have an application that has maybe a particular file has like 700 lines of code? Will you be going through each lines of code? And that won't work actually. So you could actually leverage on certain tools like code analyzer where it can run through your code and then tell you where there's an issue, or you use a debugging tool. Now, modern code editors have debugging packages or extensions you can add so that they can, maybe for a particular language, for example, Python, you could add a debugging tool for Python. And then while you are writing the code, if you miss the closing curly braces, it will automatically tell you that this thing, you have missed a curly brace here. Or probably when you are trying to run it and it's not working where you are testing, compiling to test. On that code editor, there is a debugging tool that can tell you. And then some browser also have debugging tool, just like we have on the browser where you can debug an application using the console log environment. You could just debug any tool, and then for Vue.js, you add a Vue.js extension. For React.js, for Angular.js, you can add any extension for you to be able to debug. So those tools are very helpful, and then they could help you to catch an error easily so that you don't spend a lot of time and then point you to the page. Because I noticed there are some applications whereby you have to bundle the assets and then it will just show you one long string name with an extension, just .js. You not even know what page is throwing that error because the code is being compiled before it runs. So those debugging tools can be helpful. And then if you are very good with writing test cases, you can write test cases actually to confirm at what point a particular code is failing, and then you'll be able to figure it out. Yeah. Bonus point here. Bonus point. The bonus point here is document it. When I say document it, I mean, so for example, connect, you are trying to set up 4 payment gateway for a particular application, different payment gateway, and then you've done 3. The fourth one is now giving you a challenge. Now, once you are able to get your way through, just put up an article on it or probably document it somewhere and then publish it so that it will be helpful to someone else. And I've realized that it could be helpful for you in the future. So there is a time where I was using Cloudinary package for an application, and then Cloudinary is used to store files in the cloud, right? So and I had this issue where I was trying to do something and it was not going through. But immediately I finished and I was able to integrate Cloudinary to the Laravel application, I actually documented. So I think it was about a year later when I had the issue again. I just quickly went back to the article and then I checked the error and then I was able to fix it. Another advantage of documenting it is that sometimes someone may ask an issue. I think just a few days back, someone reached out. I was like, hey, Raf, do you have any place like this where you can do XYZ? And I was like, oh, I have an article on that. Just pick the article and share. So it has saved me time for explanation. It has also saved the person time for, a lot of stress the person will just go through. They just go pick that article and then they are getting up. So this is just a bonus point. It may not be applicable to you because we do not have the same schedules. I do it often because I also write, just like I'm making video now. I could actually make a video on how to integrate something or how to set up Laragon, how to set up onboarding guide on a Next.js application, and then I'll just publish it so that when next I have the issue, I can just quickly go over that resources. Finally, the common assertion by programmers that programming is difficult is closely tied to the challenges they encounter when they are debugging or trying to figure out an implementation to work in an expected manner. Bugs aren't signs that you are not proficient or you are not professional or you are not smart or you are not intelligent. It's just an omission. It's just something that occurred. And sometimes it could not even be from the code you are writing. It could be from an endpoint where you are trying to pass in a payload, maybe a post. You are trying to make a post request and it's not going through. So don't give up on bugs. Don't give up on yourself. Also, if you take advantage of these skills I've shared with you, you will have a very wonderful software development experience. I mean, there is no way you can exhaust these points. There are up to 8 points I've shared with you. You can't exhaust these 8 points and spend hours and days on a particular issue without having to fix it. I actually have this debugging skills written in an article. I'm going to leave it in the description below. I hope these debugging skills I've shared so far were really helpful. Let me know what other debugging skills that have been very helpful in your software development experience in the comment section. Bye.